great piece, Shakoki. So I want to talk about colorism and how colorism has kind of prepared black people to perform um, in the any. It's prepared us to perform in the any, right? Colorism is one of those things where like you don't want your kids to have to go through it. Um, you don't want to have to face it in adulthood, um, which kind of affects us all because there's so much mixture in America right now, right? Where we're not necessarily affected with racism, but we're more so affected with colorism. But racism is a player part where like everybody is proud of who they are. Whereas like colorism is just like one of those things like you're biased towards a person because of their skin color. Um, I've dealt with colorism as a child. I've dealt with it as a teenager. I've dealt with it as an adult. Colorism is like one of those things where um, you kind of know it's going to shear its head if you live in a certain environment. And you also know it's going to shear its head if you're just like a person who looks different than everyone else. Um, which obviously has been an example for me because I don't look like everybody in my community. Um, so, like, when you're going for a job or something like that, you got to be expecting that there's people in front of you who's going to get chosen for the job because they may fit a certain demographic, they may fit a certain style of work pattern, they may fit a certain look that some of these guys who are in these human resources management offices look for, and they tell the employees what to look for as far as like hiring. I've been through that. Quick story. When I tried to get a job, when I was working as a chauffeur for a hospital um, out there in Detroit, right? Uh, I was turned down because obviously how I look, right? I was turned down. When I walked into the office, I looked on the walls. I saw the person who was opening the door, and she was kind of like this person who was like very quadroon, um, half Melungeon, half quadroon. I've never seen a person who looked like that before. And on the walls, you can see like she had her, um, the white husband, and the child that she was creating. It looks like she only had like one drop of black in there, like totally not lying, right? Um, she was like very, very mixed, and they kept her in the office so she can choose like who would come and get interviewed and whatnot. And she tried to turn me away, but the lady who was there next to her was like, you know what, we're gonna give him a try. But they didn't pick me for the job, even though I was qualified for it. Um, I wasn't mad, I wasn't deterred, but I just thought like, this is an opportunity for me to share who I am and to build from it, even though that this wasn't the right network for me. So quick, just I end up, going home and, I looked over my resume and I thought about it. I was like, let me see what they're going to say when they email me, to let me know that I didn't get the job. So, excuse me, I just ate some fruit. Um, so they emailed me and the lady, she was like, we weren't going to choose you for the job because we felt like there were better candidates out there for this position or whatnot. So I kind of expected that, you know what? I just went ahead and just left it alone. And that kind of made me think like, you know what? I need to change the city I'm in, because it's not the right city for me. So when I did get the opportunity though, and I went to Minnesota, I saw how they treated me. Because there were Africans there, I kept being the top candidate and aside of them. And I noticed like every working environment, I was working with Africans, pure Africans, right? I kept noticing it. And I was grateful. I was grateful because it was like it was very healthy for not only my environment principles, but for my overall mental health. So I was kind of glad about that. So, quick story, great piece.